like to thank all of you people who are here today, distinguished board of governors, governing council people, mentors, teachers, principals, students, distinguished people on the dais. You see, this is something which has been very dear to me, and I personally, therefore, am very thankful to be present on this occasion. It is, to some extent, an emotional moment too, because a year and a half we did talk about, and this was just an idea. It was just a figment of an idea. It was a concept, and a concept of, can we have an incubator here? And we are not talking about just any incubator. We are talking about a world-class incubator. And it is fantastic to see that in the year and a half, the baby has been delivered. So a big hand of applause to the entire management, to Dr. Karad for, I'm sure because of his leadership and his passion and his strength behind this entire initiative, this initiative has become a world-class incubator today. So a big hand to Dr. Karad. No idea becomes a reality without a number of people passionately dedicating themselves to the cause. I have yet to see any idea, any success anywhere in the world where a number of people, it is the team that makes things happen. And as they say, when the team works, then dreams work. And I am sure that has been the case here. So a big hand to Mohit Dubey and all the others, the designers and so on and so forth. A really big hand of applause I would like to give. Now, you may all wonder why we are talking about world-class incubators. And just to take the analogy further, the world-class incubator, I mean, the word incubator is from the womb, the mother. The mother's womb in which a child is conceived. That's how the first incubation starts. For all of us, we were all incubated within our mother's wombs. And this incubator is now going to be the mother of several babies that it has to deliver. So it is the beginning, the journey has just begun as the delivery of the incubator has happened, and what we want is world-class startups. And why is this so important to our nation? It is very important, and everyone in this room has to be very conscious about it, has to reflect on this, and has to internalize this in some manner. We are a country of 1.3 billion people, as all of you are aware. We have a tremendous population that is in need of economic growth and societal well-being. That can only happen when there is enormous job creation, there is enormous employment capability generated in the country, and that can only happen when all the societal problems are also solved. It's not just economic growth that can assure this, it is the entire societal well-being that is required in order to make that happen. We have also 1.4 million schools in our country. We have more than 10,500 engineering institutions in our country. We have 39,000 colleges. We have 150 million young students like you, the people who are sitting down here, who are going to be entering into the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years. And we have 1.3 billion people riding on the hopes that you, the young students, the 150 million students who are entering into the workplace, are going to carry this land forward into economic prosperity, into societal happiness, into welfare and well-being, and be a champion for the rest of the world to emulate, to model themselves upon. So this can only happen if we have a tremendous focus on addressing the challenges that this country has. While we are also at a cusp of one of the fastest growing economic nations in the world, our GDP has been growing between 6.5 to 7.5%, and the ambition is that we should grow at least at 9 to 10% if we want to truly transform India. The Niti Aayog, the National Institution for Transforming India, is heavily focused on that. I mean, its all focus is how are we going to ensure growth of this country, and what are the initiatives and what are the interventions that are required to make all of this happen. And therefore, every one of us has to be seized with this problem, because if we don't address this, and if we don't address the number of challenges we have, and we have a number of challenges, we have 22% of our country still below the poverty line. We have 45% of our country which is agri and agri-economy based. We have problems of affordable housing. We have 70% of our country still in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. we are going to have tremendous amount of urban migration over the next few years, because everybody is flocking to cities like Pune and Delhi and Mumbai and Chennai, and even the 100 smart cities that have been identified by the government. People are going to be moving, and there's going to be massive amount of urban migration. All of this means we need smart cities. We need tremendous amount of focus on clean drinking water and sanitation. We have waste management problems. If, for example, if you don't address the problems of waste management today just in the NCR region of near surrounding Delhi, it is estimated that by 2030 we'll need a city of the size of Delhi to be able to hold the waste of what is being generated in Delhi. Now that is a tremendous impact on climate, on hygiene, on the people. So even if all of us who are economically well done or well settled, it is a problem for us, because 10 years down the road, the generation, our children, the younger generation are going to suffer the impact if we are not addressing all of these challenges. But looking at the other side, all these challenges are also a tremendous opportunity for us. And therefore it is important for everyone, the youngsters especially, all the youngsters who are here, to see that when you have a convergence of three things that are happening in this country. Number one, we are one of the fastest growing economy of the world. Number two, we are having a demographic dividend that is the envy of every other country in the world. We have a young population. The energy of a young population, the youth, have so much energy in them that if we don't convert and harness this energy for the benefit of this nation, we would have lost a huge opportunity. And third, fortunately for all of us, we are living in a world where technology has been advancing so rapidly. And therefore, technology has become affordable, it has become advanced, and it has become accessible. So what do we mean by that? If you look at computing, the cost of computing is coming down dramatically every year, even it continues to come down. And therefore you have great advances in supercomputing, nano computing, cognitive computing, and all other forms of computing. The cost of storage is coming down, as you can see, because of the cloud and the universality of the cloud, and the ability for us not necessarily to store huge amounts of information on your dedicated server or on your PC, but being able to store it across the cloud and the network. And the cost of communications is coming down, because whether it is wireless communication, whether it is high-speed communication, and India has taken a lead in communications, as all of you are aware. We have the lowest telephone call cost anywhere in the world. So with the convergence of technology, IoT, data, big data and analytics, you have the Internet of Things, you have augmented virtual reality, you have 3D printing, which is revolutionizing the way you can design anything and you can produce it right in front of your eyes. So which means a small shop, a kirana shop, a small SME can have a 3D printer and start manufacturing and making new devices, new innovations, new products without having to incur large costs. So here you have a confluence of three things, like I said. The confluence of demographic dividend, a confluence of a growing economy, and the confluence of technology, all of this coming together. And therefore, the cost of innovation is at its rock bottom. In fact, they say the cost of communication is zero. Cost of innovation is zero. So you can innovate. And in order to innovate, you need incubators and organizations like this. Because unless you are having an ecosystem of innovation, and India has never lacked, as they say, for great thinkers, great engineers, great scientists, great philosophers, great artists. I mean, you name it. We have an Abdul Kalam who came from one of the remote towns of Rameshwaram. We have Ramanujan who came from a small humble town of Kumbakonam. We have a Jagdish Chandra Bose, and we have C.V. Raman. They all came from remote towns like Pune and Kumbakonams and Tanjore and so on and so forth. They didn't come from the Bombays and the Delhis and the Chennais and so on. And that is the talent that is available in our country. And that's the reason why Atal Innovation Mission has set up thousands of Atal Tinkering Labs. These tinkering labs are giving every school student from grade 6 to grade 12, whether they are in a government school, whether they are in a tier 2, tier 3 city school, whether they are in a village, whether they are in a remote district or in a coastal district, they have access to the same latest technology, 3D printing, robotics, IoT, miniaturized electronics, augmented virtual reality, do-it-yourself kits. And what's the result? The result is that the children are energizing themselves with the innovation capability that they can express through these technologies. And the incubator is the next step in the ladder. The incubator is for the universities like MIT. Students who come to the universities don't have a chance to express their innovative capabilities because everybody is just focusing on marks. You say, oh, let me get good marks from this university and let me see when is the first placement happening, who is coming for the first placement and can I get a job. The whole idea is job seeking, not job creation. And why not job creation? Because you, every one of you here is an innovator by birth. From the day we are born, we are innovators. We stand on our legs through innovation. Nobody teaches us how to stand. You observe the world around you, you see your mother walking, you look at her, you say you also want to stand, you stand up, you fall down, you stand up, you fall down, you rebalance, you innovate every moment and suddenly you are walking, you are running, you are winning competitions, you are winning the Olympics. So innovation is inbuilt in us. But somehow our educational system has been stifling it and limiting your own capability by making you feel that you are not capable of this, by putting blinders around yourself. And we want to remove those blinders. And to remove those blinders, these tinkering labs, these incubators are the place where you can come and express your idea into an innovation and convert that innovation into a problem-solving product which will have impact on the society. So my first request to the management of the MIT as well as to all the students is take innovation seriously. Why? Because you can do it. You can put a ding in the universe, as Steve Jobs said. You want to put a ding in the universe. You don't want to be just an also-ran in the world. Also-ran are people who run in a race and nobody knows what they have done. Only the first three are always recognized. You don't want to be an also-ran. You want to be a person who wants to create an impact. And therefore, the first and foremost thing is you should dream big. You should dream big. And why I always lay the emphasis on world-class incubator and world-class startup, dream to be a world-class organization right from the beginning. Don't limit yourself in any way in your imagination that you cannot do it. You can be the world-class university and the world-class student. So Abdul Kalam said, dream big and you will achieve great things. Dream small and you will limit yourself and only achieve that. The worst problem of dreaming small is that you will actually achieve it. And then you have nothing more to aspire for and you will stop your journey. Whereas if you dream big, your journey never ends. The second thing is have enormous belief in yourself. Swami Vivekananda said, if you have belief in 1,000 gods and goddesses, but do not have belief in yourselves, you are doomed. So an innovator, a startup, has to have enormous belief in himself or herself. You can do it. And if you have that, you will be able to create a world-class startup. The third thing is, you should have a tremendous commitment to your own idea. Commitment is required. You see, we all talk about, we dream big, we have great aspirations. And John F. Kennedy, in his famous quote, said, we'll put a man on the moon in this decade. Now, that was an idea, an inspiration, an aspiration, an aim, a dream. But what happened as a result of it? It galvanized an entire country into action. And when it galvanized the entire country into action, whether it was NASA or whether it was any other organization, whether it was an individual scientist or a student from a university, they all acted on that dream. So the action became a commitment to realize that dream. And lo and behold, even before the decade was over, man was put on the moon. So that's the power of a dream followed by belief in yourself and commitment. The fourth thing is, we have to have a tremendous rigor of discipline and action. Sachin Tendulkar did not become a great cricketer by saying one day, I'm a genius and so if I just go out and bat, I'm going to score centuries. No. From the age of 6, every day in the morning, he'll pick up his bat and he will start practicing. Till the day he retired, he used to go out to the nets every day in the morning, the rigor of discipline. The rigor of discipline is absolutely important. There is no success. Success is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. Or they say even genius is 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. So that discipline has to be there. Startups don't succeed just like that. If you read the story of all successful startups, if you read about Steve Jobs, or if you read about Bill Gates, or if you read about any of our own successful startups like Flipkart and so on, they are people with tremendous amount of discipline and making sure that the rigor and process of discipline is followed. And you have to have a solution. You have to dream of a solution which will have an impact. So when you are creating a solution as a startup, you have to run this idea past many customers, potential customers. You know, many startups say, I've got a great idea, but already that idea has been executed somewhere else. So please validate your idea against 15 to 20 potential customers and get what exactly they want, because unless you develop what they want, you will not be able to create a world-class startup. Leverage technology. Technology should be leveraged not just in the creation of your product, but also in the operation of your startup and the operation of your incubator. You should have a world-class internal system to be able to manage the incubator, and you should similarly have a world-class internal system to manage your own startup operations. It is very important for you to re-engineer and reiterate your startup solution all the time, because it's not that the first idea which comes germinates and creates the product of the century. Nothing. It never happens like that. Look at all the products which have evolved, including the iPhone. They all started off with some base product but continuously evolved. They continuously got re-engineered. You have to reimagine, and then comes the shaping of the product into something that becomes a world-class success. You have to have uniqueness in your approach. Your approach has to be unique. You have to have a differentiator. The market is a very competitive market out there. It's a very harsh market. And therefore, unless you are differentiating and having a uniqueness, whether it is in your product, whether it is in the features of your product, whether it is in your marketing approach, whether it is in your HR approach, whether it is in your operational management approach, you need to have a uniqueness in your product. You need to have a great team, as they mentioned earlier, and Mohit Dubey so eloquently mentioned about the 5 requirements. Great people. People are required, because you alone cannot. We are living in a very advanced world, a complex world where a single person cannot have all the qualities that are needed in order to make a product a success. So surround yourself by people who are better than you. In my team, I surround myself with the best of people who can think a lot more than what I do. Then only I will be successful, because I don't have that capability, that bandwidth, that capacity to be able to think laterally as some of the other people do. So get yourself the best people. And finally, you be persistent. Remember, in the world of a startup, or in the world of an incubator, which is also a startup today, you are going to encounter failures. But failure is always to be looked upon as learning. The word failure should be banished from your mind. It should be replaced by learning. So there are only learnings and there is success. Thomas Alva Edison famously said that I never failed. I did not find 10,000 failures in the invention of the light bulb. I only found 10,000 ways of not doing it. And that's the way you have to approach your startup. And as that famous poem goes, success is failure turned inside out, a silver tint in the clouds of doubt. You never know how close you are. You may be near while it seems so far. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You will succeed with another blow. So to all these people, to all of you who have gathered here today with the aspiration that we are going to transform India, we are going to transform, first of all, your own life. You are going to become a creator, an innovator. You are not just going to become a job seeker. And you are going to make an impact on society, on your life, in the society that you live in the state that you live in the country that you live in, and in the world that you live in. You are going to make an impact. And I wish everyone in this room to be extraordinarily successful and to have MIT proudly say that we have created one of the world's finest incubators with the world's finest startups. Thank you so much.